Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Sing, the latest animated movie from Illumination Entertainment. I have to confess, I'm not the biggest fan of Illumination Entertainment. I think they're alright, they produce some interesting animated flicks, but none of their films have really been, got to me at all. I've never really appreciated some of their movies. I thought, yeah, okay, they're alright. They're okay for what they are, but yeah. So this is the latest one, Sing. And basically the plot is about this koala bear, Buster Moon. He wants, his theatre is failing and he wants to rejuvenate some life into it by holding a singing competition where, you know, the winner would win a grand, or well, by accidental typo error, 100 grand. And then we see all these other characters come together. We see them in their individual lives, and then we see them come together to put on this one show. But there are other complications along the way. He doesn't necessarily have all the money he needs. There are a lot of personal stories as well. There's a bit of a gangster plot going on. So, and that's really it. That's Sing. Okay, Sing. Again, this is another trailer that kept popping up everywhere. Every time I went to the cinema to see Rogue One, and I saw Rogue One 6 times, this fucking trailer kept playing all the time. Sing. It's a very interesting film because I don't think anybody's going to give a shit about it. Really. No one's going to give a shit about this movie. Because basically, it's the X Factor in an animated movie. Just with a bit more drama. For me, the problem with Sing is that there's just way too much going on in this movie. You have tons of characters. And they're all trying to develop them individually. It's a mess. It's a confusing mess at times. But there are some good characters. I mean, I'm just going to scroll down the list on IMDb because I can't remember all of them. You have Reese Witherspoon as Rosita. She is a mother of however many pigs. Blimey. And she's desperate to, get out of the house, and finally just do something, and achieve her dream. Seth MacFarlane, who voices Mike, he's a little rat. He's basically this sort of gangster type character, and he's on the run from some of these bears that he owes money to. And you have Scarlett Johansson, Ash, who's like this hedgehog teenager rebel type person. She hates having issues with her boyfriend, who cheats on her, and then you have John C. Reilly's character Eddie. He is approached by Buster, to get funding for this show from his nan, who is this Broadway star. You have Johnny, who's this gorilla, and his father is like a mob gangster. And he doesn't want to be involved in the gang, but he's being forced to do things that he doesn't want to, but he wants to be a singer. Then you have Mina, who's this elephant. She's this very frightful, anxious, nervous, elephant. She doesn't have any confidence, but she wants to sing, but she can't. And then she gets reduced to the soundstage, and then she gets involved in the show. There's just so many characters. I mean, what the hell? I understand you need to have a big set of cast, but trying to develop all of these people individually is just too much. It's just too much for one movie. Reduce the amount of characters. Ugh. I mean, it's just really confusing. Like, the amount of times you're trying to follow each character, and you can just predict where it's going to go. You can predict that Mike's going to get found out. You can predict that Ash is going to, do the show in the end and, prove to her boyfriend that, he was wrong to dump her. You're going to predict that Mina's going to get confidence and, sing. You're going to predict that Johnny's dad is going to accept him because they actually reveal that in the trailer. The trailer pretty much gives away this entire movie. There's no structure with this movie. One character which I did forget to mention was Gunther, the German pig, who's he's basically, he doesn't get much development. He's just there, like, he's there to team up with Rosita, there to do an act together. He's funny. And yeah, that's all the characters. There's just too many characters in this movie. And I mean, they've made them distinctive, I'll give them that. Of course, Buster Moon, who's voiced by Matthew McConaughey, who's the koala bear who wants to, you know, revive his theatre, which of course doesn't go to plan. I mean, the problem, you know, with films like this, I've always said this in the past, any movie with any kind of competition is going to be predictable, because the main protagonists are either going to win, either going to, you know, come out on top, you know, woo their audience, or they're going to win some money that, you know, is promised by the competition. You know, all these dance films like Step Up and Street Dance and all, like, follow a similar pattern. This film is no exception. Of course, you know where it's going to go. You know that the theatre's going to be brought back, and you know that, you know, things are going to be revived for all the characters. It's predictable, so it makes you wonder, what was the point of this whole story? Like, it's just such a paper thin story. There's no weight to it, despite the fact that they try and give all these characters something to do. It doesn't work. I mean, one thing I'll give this movie credit for is that it is actually fun. It's more of a fun movie than a good movie. It definitely has, you know, on a Saturday night in, you could definitely watch this movie for a laugh, and you know, because it has some modern day contemporary music. It has a nice, anybody who's a sort of drama person or a theatre person or anyone who likes to sing will enjoy this movie because of all the songs in it. So it has a nice soundtrack mix to it, I suppose. That's fun. There's some occasional nice comedy moments, but really the story is just all over the place. And it's not a difficult story. This is not a complicated, arcing narrative. This is a simple story about a guy putting on a show, and you have all these characters, and the movie just doesn't give a shit about them. It just doesn't care. It's like, it's so sloppily thrown together. It's like, we have this guy here, this guy there. I mean, the first, you know, 15 minutes, I was fucking confused. I was like, what the fuck? You know, who are these characters? They keep zooming back and forth between all these characters. Literally, the camera, well, the virtual camera, is zooming across from one place to the next to develop all these characters. To me, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have also, I want to say one character which I did really like was Jennifer Saunders as the Nana. Nana. Soon as I heard her voice, I recognised it immediately. I was like, yeah, Jennifer Saunders, great. And obviously this isn't the first piece of voice work she's done. She's obviously voiced the fairy godmother in Shrek 2, which was over 10 years ago, but even so, that was funny. I mean, the voice cast are fine. There's nobody that particularly stands out to me. Matthew McConaughey, I suppose, is probably the best by default. I didn't realise it was Seth MacFarlane as Mike, Mike the little rat. Well, they focused on him a lot, and he wasn't in the trailer much, so I suppose that's a plus. His story was quite interesting. And, you know, there's some nice music. It's fun, but it's not really that good. There is a particularly emotional scene, actually. There is one emotional scene in this film which really surprised me. It's towards the third act of the movie, when something happens, a big catastrophe happens. Something, like, blows up. I say something, but you know what I mean. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. It's that moment where they lose all sense of hope, and it's like, oh, we're not going to get to do this show now, but it always happens. In every movie with a competition, this always happens. There's always a moment when they fall flat on their asses, when the odds become gastronomically low, and then, a few minutes later, yeah, we're going to do this again. Let's do it. The characters go over to the main guy who's trying to organise all this, and they're like, yeah, come on, we can still do this show. They did the same thing in School of Rock, you know, when Dewey is found out, and then, you know, he's on the run from the police. And then the kids come to his house, his flat, and then they're like, come on, one great rock show can change the world. I really must review School of Rock one day. I love that movie. I will review it one day. And yeah, this movie, the problem with Sing is that, I mean, you knew this was going to be from what the trailer made it out to be. It lacks originality. I mean, that was always going to be the case anyway. I will say I enjoyed it to an extent. It was kind of fun. There's nothing like terrible about it. It's not awful, but if the characters weren't so fleshed out, I mean, if they hadn't tried to flesh out every single character, or if they reduced the amount of characters, maybe this film would be slightly more acceptable. I mean, yeah, the animation is nice, I guess. Even though it has a sort of cartoonish sense, but I don't mind that. I will say I probably enjoyed this a bit more than Despicable Me. I've never really been the biggest fan of those movies, and the third one looks rubbish. So yeah, that's my review of Sing. I'm going to rate this movie 5 out of 10. Yeah, it's okay, but it's really disappointing in the long run. So, that's it, guys. That's my review of Sing. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put your comments down below. Let me know. Tune in next time for another review. Whatever that may be. I don't know. I will review Logan in March. I don't know what else there is coming out in the cinema. I might, if I get a chance to see Hacksaw Ridge or any other movies that are out, I'll go and watch them. And obviously the Doctor Who reviews will continue with this one, the Daleks. Woo! So I will do that at some point. But yeah, until then, guys, thank you all for watching. And as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.